Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjan Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 4 चैप्टर 10 वर्स 1 मैत्रेय उवाच प्रजापते दुहितरं शिशुमारस्य वै ध्रुवः उपयेमे भ्रमिं नाम तत्सुतौ कल्पवत्सरौ. Great sage Maitreya said, My dear Vidura, thereafter Dhruva Maharaj married the daughter of Prajapati, Shishumara, whose name was Brahmi, and two sons named Kalpa and Vatsara were born of her. It appears that Dhruva married after being installed on the throne of his father and after the departure of his father to the forest for self-realization. It is very important to note in this connection that since Maharaja Uttanapada was greatly affectionate towards his son, and since it is the duty of a father to get his sons and daughters married as quickly as possible, why did he not get his son married before he left home? The answer is that Maharaja Uttanapada was a Rajarshi, saintly king. Although he was busy in his political affairs and duties of government management, he was very anxious for self-realization. Therefore, as soon as his son Dhruva was quite worthy to take charge of the government, he took this opportunity to leave home, just like his son, who without fear left home for self-realization, even at the age of 5 years. These are rare instances from which we can see that the importance of spiritual realization is above all other important work. So all other important work means sarva dharman parityajya. So all dharmas can be sacrificed for Krishna consciousness. Of course, the important part here is to make sure that the devotee is mature enough, meaning somebody is not artificially, whimsically doing, just leaving home. No, if a person is sufficiently advanced and he understands that that self-realization is more important than anything else, then he can leave home. There is no restriction. That is why Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, many people get confused about what is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not a book of karma, gnana, yoga. It is a book of bhakti. And that is why Krishna at the end says, talks about all this dharma, oh, deha dharma, dharma connected to this body. And then he says, give up all that. Just surrender to me. So the most important thing in one's life, in especially life of a human being, is this spiritual realization or path of bhakti. And if somebody is mature enough on that path, they can sacrifice anything on the lower platform. And in fact, to make people more conscious about this is the whole system of varnashrama, which will make people realizing that okay, naturally you will remain attached throughout your life, but now since you're 50 or 55, whatever, give up grahastha dharma. Give up that attachment. It is reminding us. Otherwise, somebody who's mature enough can give it up even before. It's okay. Maharaja Uttanapada knew very well that to get his son married was not so important that it should take preference to his going away to the forest for self-realization. See, this is what all other dharma, karma, etc., all subordinate, subservient to bhakti. So this is the most important work for a human being, more important than any other work. Only thing is we take shelter of this, so-called lower duties because we are attached. That's all. And then we say, no, no, because Krishna said, "Do your karma, do your dharma," and then we give so many arguments. But that is all lower platform. Highest platform is to give up everything for Krishna, even our so-called duties. But this requires a lot of maturity and proper guidance, mm, before one can actually do it. So this such things have to happen under the direction of a spiritual master, not whimsically, not by our own thought process. इलायामपि भार्यायां वायोपुत्र्यां महाबलः पुत्रम् उत्कलनामाना नामानं योषिद्रत्नम् अजीजनत्. A greatly powerful Dhruva had another wife named Ila, who was the daughter of the demigod Vayu. By her he begot a son named Utkala and a very beautiful daughter, Ila. Okay. Uttamastva akritodvaho mrigayayam baliyasa hata punyajane nadrau tanmatasya gatim gata. Dhruva's younger brother Uttama, who was still unmarried, once went on a hunting excursion and was killed by a powerful yaksha in the Himalaya mountains. Along with him, his mother Suruchi also followed the path of her son. She died. ध्रुवो भ्रातृवधं श्रुत्वा कोपामर्शश्रुचार्पितः चैत्रं स्यन्दनम् आस्थाय गतः पुण्यजनालयम्. And Dhruva heard of the killing of his brother Uttama by the Yakshas in the Himalaya mountains, being overwhelmed with lamentation and anger. He got on his chariot and went out for victory over the city of Yakshas, Alakapuri. Yeah, again, we might question saying that how come Dhruva went into this lamentation, anger, this illusion, desire of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj becoming angry, overwhelmed with grief and envious of the enemies was not incompatible with his position as a great devotee. It is a misunderstanding that a devotee should not be angry, envious, or overwhelmed by lamentation. Dhruva Maharaj was the king, and when his brother was unceremoniously killed, it was his duty to take revenge against the Yakshas from the Himalayas. Okay, so little bit Prabhupada's purports are a little bit bewildering. Some of this actually we may not be able to understand completely at this point of time. But we should understand that it can't be wrong, because generally we say that devotee should not be angry, etc. Of course, Prabhupada has not clarified here that this should be in connection with Krishna. Meaning, in connection with Krishna, devotee can be angry, but devotee will never be envious. So, I'm not very sure what Prabhupada means here. Or overwhelmed by lamentation also. This is tamoguna. What exact situation or circumstances Prabhupada is approving this for a devotee is slightly unclear. At least for me, it's unclear. So maybe we can seek uh, clarification from other senior devotees. Dhruva was the king, and when his brother was unceremoniously killed, it was his duty to take revenge. Again, duty to take revenge, yes, but uh, if somebody has to follow dharma, then there are various considerations which subsequently will be told to Dhruva, saying that for one yaksha's mistake, why did he kill so many yakshas, and it was not correct. So yeah, duty, but exactly what was the duty, what form the duty had to take, etc., is not clear. Whether what Dhruva did was correct, didn't seem like, because later Swayambhu, Manu, Brahma, everybody say that what he did was not required. So yeah, it was a duty, but what he had to exactly do, what kind of revenge he had to take, etc., is not discussed. Like when Arjuna had to kill Ashwatthama, right? So there's discussion that he was Brahma Bandhu, that his life cannot be taken, only his, he should be uh, dishonored, basically, that's all, and driven away. That is the punishment for a Brahma Bandhu, not death. So like that. So dharma is very, very, duty is very, very intricate. So we can't just read the statements and misconstrue what what is the duty of a devotee or what he has to do. But one thing we know clearly from other purports, that one devotee becomes angry, like Hanuman, in connection with the Lord, but overwhelmed with grief unless the Lord wants. Like for example, Arjuna. But generally, grief is tamoguna, envy is tamoguna. So these things are not good qualities for a devotee. So we are not very clear in what circumstances these qualities can be used in connection with Krishna. Um, only the overwhelmed with grief is we can think of is the prema of the gopis, or very exalted pure devotees, where they'll be overwhelmed with grief because they're not able to serve Krishna. They're not, but that is also happiness on the spiritual platform. But envy, yeah, envy can only be towards the enemies of Krishna or of devotees, and that too it will not possibly be envy. It will be more of anger. So again, envy is slightly difficult, saying that whom does a devotee envy? Again, one way of thinking about it is like, for example, Chandravali envies Radha, like that envy. But yeah, but a very high platform of bhakti, maybe these qualities can be demonstrated, which might look very material. But otherwise, generally, these are not qualities recommended for a sadhaka like us. Okay. गत्वोदीचिं दिशं राजा रुद्रानुच्चरसेवितां ददर्शः हिमवद्रोण्यां पुरीं गुह्यकसङ्कुलां. Drove into the northern direction of the Himalayan range. In a valley, he saw a city full of ghostly persons who were followers of Lord Shiva. In this verse, it is stated that the Yakshas are more or less devotees of Lord Shiva. By this indication, the Yakshas may be taken to be the Himalayan tribes like the Tibetans. Okay. दद्मौ शङ्खं बृहद्बाहु खं दिशश् चानुनादयन् येनोद्विग्नदृशक्षत्तर् उपदेव्यो तृषन् वृषम्. Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, as soon as Dhruva reached Alakapuri, he immediately blew his conch shell and the sound reverberated throughout the entire sky and in every direction. The wives of the Yakshas became very much frightened. From their eyes, it was apparent that they were full of anxiety. O hero Vidura, the greatly powerful heroes of the Yakshas, unable to tolerate the resounding vibration of the conch shell of Dhruva, came forth from their city with weapons and attacked Dhruva. Dhruva, who was a great charioteer and certainly a great bowman also, immediately began to kill them by simultaneously discharging arrows 3 at a time. When the heroes of the Yakshas saw that all their heads were being thus threatened by Dhruva, they could very easily understand their awkward position, and they concluded that they would certainly be defeated. But as heroes, they lauded the action of Dhruva. The spirit of fighting in a sporting attitude is very significant in these words. Yakshas were severely attacked. Dhruva Maharaj was their enemy, but still, upon witnessing the wonderful heroic acts of Maharaja Dhruva, they were very pleased with him. This straightforward appreciation of an enemy's prowess is a characteristic of real Kshatriya spirit. Just like serpents who cannot tolerate being trampled upon by anyone's feet, the Yakshas, being intolerant of the wonderful prowess of Dhruva, threw twice as many arrows, 6 from each of their soldiers, and thus they very valiantly exhibited their prowess. The Yaksha soldiers were 130,000 strong, all greatly angry and all desiring to defeat the wonderful activities of Dhruva. With full strength, they showered upon Dhruva Maharaj, along with his chariot and charioteer, various types of feathered arrows, parigas, nistrimshas, prasa, shulas, parashvadas, lances, shaktis, pikes, rishtis, spears, and bhushundi weapons. Dhruva was completely covered by an incessant shower of weapons, just as a mountain is covered by incessant rainfall. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur points out in this connection that although Dhruva was covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, this does not mean that he succumbed in the battle. The example of a mountain peaks being covered by incessant rain is just suitable. For when a mountain is covered by incessant rain, all dirty things are washed from the body of the mountain. Similarly, the incessant shower of arrows from the enemy gave Dhruva new vigor to defeat them. In other words, whatever incompetency he might have had was washed away. Okay. All the Siddhas from the higher planetary systems were observing the fight from the sky, and when they saw that Dhruva had been covered by the incessant arrows of the enemy, they roared tumultuously, the grandson of Manu, Dhruva, is now lost. They cried that Dhruva was just like the sun and that now he had set within the ocean of the Yakshas. In this words, the word Manava is very significant. Generally, this word is used to mean human being. Dhruva is also described here as Manava. Not only is Dhruva descendant of Manu, but all human society descendants from Manu. According to Vedic civilization, Manu is the law giver. Even today, Hindus in India follow the laws given by Manu. Therefore, everyone in human society is a Manava, a descendant from Manu. But Dhruv Maharaj is a distinguished Manava because he is a great devotee. The denizens of the planet Siddhaloka, where the residents can fly in the sky without airplanes, were anxious over Dhruva Maharaj's welfare in the battlefield. Srila Rupa Goswami says, therefore, that not only is a devotee well protected by the Supreme Lord, but all the demigods and even ordinary men are anxious for his security and safety. And this is why we said previously when Dhruva thought that because of the envy of demigods that he refused to accept Narada's instruction. That was just some kind of a speculation in his mind because demigods are also protect and devotee. The comparison given here that Dhruva Maharaj appeared to merge in the ocean of the Yakshas is also significant. When the sun sets on the horizon, it appears that the sun drowns in the ocean, but actually the sun has no difficulty. Similarly, although Dhruva appeared to drown in the ocean of the Yakshas, he had no difficulty. As the sun rises again in due course at the end of the night, soon Dhruva, although he might have been in difficulty, because after all, it was a fight, and in any fighting activities, there are reverses. That did not mean that he was defeated. The Yakshas, being temporarily victorious, exclaimed that they had conquered Dhruva. But in the meantime, Dhruva's chariot suddenly appeared, just as the sun suddenly appears from the wind from within foggy mist. Here, Dhruva is compared to the sun and the great assembly of Yakshas to foggy mist. Fog is insignificant in comparison with the sun, although the sun is sometimes seen to be covered by fog. In fact, the sun cannot be covered by anything. Our eyes may be covered by a cloud, but the sun is never covered. By this comparison to the sun, the greatness of Dhruva Maharaj in all circumstances is affirmed. Dhruva Maharaj's bows and arrows twanged and hissed, causing lamentation in the hearts of his enemies. He began to shoot incessant arrows, shattering all the different weapons, just as the blasting wind scatters the assembled clouds in the sky. The sharp arrows released from the bow of Dhruva pierced the shields and bodies of the enemy, like the thunderbolts released by the King of Heaven, which dismantle the bodies of the mountains. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, the heads of those who were cut to pieces by the arrows of Dhruva were decorated very beautifully with earrings and turbans. The legs of their bodies were as beautiful as golden palm trees. Their arms were decorated with golden bracelets and armlets, and on their heads there were very valuable helmets bedecked with gold. All these ornaments lying on that battlefield were very attractive and could bewilder the mind of a hero. It appears that in those days soldiers used to go to battlefield highly decorated with golden ornaments and with helmets and turbans, and when they were dead, the booty was taken by the enemy party. Their falling dead in battle with their many golden ornamental dresses was certainly a lucrative opportunity for the heroes. Yeah, and said like all in all war, post the war, all this is collected by the winning party, and yeah, their treasury is filled. Remaining yakshas who somehow or other were not killed had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior Dhruva. Thus they began to flee just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battle field, no, not one of the opposing soldiers was left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alakapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic yakshas. So basically, everybody was fleeing here and there. So he, for a moment, thought, okay, I'm done. Let me go and see the city of Alakapuri. Then he's thinking, no, no, we can never trust these yakshas. They have mystic power. Mm. In the meantime, while Dhruva, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, they heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there, and they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. Within a moment, the whole sky was overcast with dense clouds, and severe thundering was heard. There was a glittering electric lightning and severe rainfall. my dear faultless Vidura. In that rainfall, there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine, and marrow falling heavily before Dhruva Maharaj. And there were chunks of bodies falling from the sky. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky, and from all directions, hailstones fell, along with lances, clubs, swords, iron bludgeons, and great pieces of stone. Dhruva also saw many big serpents with angry eyes vomiting forth fire and coming to devour him, along with groups of mad elephants, lions, and tigers. Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with foaming waves and great roaring sounds came forward before him. The demon yakshas are by nature very heinous, and by their demoniac power of illusion, they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. And sometimes the minds of people also create this illusion. They see something, they hear something, and it almost looks real, frightens them. Mm. When the great sages heard that Dhruva was overpowered by the illusory mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. See, this is the thing. And devotee is always given guidance, protection by everybody. Suddenly, great sages, they heard, oh, no, no, we have to encourage Dhruva. All the sages said, dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanapada, may the Supreme Person of Godhead known as Shanga Dhanva, that's his bow, Shanga, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. Mm. Who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus, a devotee is saved. Mm. Simply by chanting and hearing the holy name. Many men can be fully protected. Yeah, because what is it? Ante Narayana Smriti. Uh, so, as soon as one remembers the Supreme Lord's name, the time of death, he is protected from death without difficulty. The devotee is saved. Mm. All the sages are saying, may the Supreme Lord who relieves the distresses of his devotees kill all your threatening enemies. So, the Supreme Lord is always ready, anxious to relieve the distress of his devotees. And we keep thinking, saying that, no, 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 I've been suffering for so long. Like we've discussed this multiple times. The Supreme Lord is absolutely very anxious to relieve the distress of the devotees. But those distresses are left more like, you know, mm, because it's going to help the devotee become closer to Krishna. That's all. No other intent. The great rishis approached Dhruva at a time when his mind was very perplexed due to the magical feats exhibited by the Yakshas. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Person of Godhead, by his inspiration only. The sages came to encourage Dhruva and assure him that there was no danger because he was a soul fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. See, this we have to remember all the time. We keep forgetting this. We keep forgetting this. Actually, there is no danger for a devotee. For one who is fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord, meaning who is completely dependent on Krishna, there is no danger. Whether we see great sages coming in front of us or some intervention or not, doesn't matter. Mm, we are always protected. We are always protected. The Supreme Lord is always protecting his devotees. So we have to understand. And sometimes Lord gives inspiration to others to come, and there is some intervention. We see some intervention. Like the other day, Sumantra Mataji was saying, suddenly from somewhere somebody came and intervened. So it's like that. The Lord, sometimes when it is required externally, he might even send somebody. Otherwise, he has his own ways of doing things. But the important thing is to remember that the Lord sent these sages to encourage Dhruva and assure him. Because Krishna is saying, he said, Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Tam Sarva Papebhya Mokshayishyami Ananyas Chintayantam Mam Yajana Paripasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yogakshemam Vahamya. So Krishna has given sufficient promises. in Bhagavad Gita, that he's there for his devotee, takes care of things. So sometimes when devotees forget, some reassurance happens, mm, both in terms of action that had to be done for helping a devotee out of a situation, as well as just reassurance, saying, no, no, don't worry, Supreme Lord is there. By the grace of the Lord, if a devotee at the time of death can simply chant his holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, simply by chanting this Mahamantra, he immediately surpasses the great ocean of the material sky and enters the spiritual sky. He never has to come back for repetition of birth and death. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can surpass the ocean of death. So Dhruva was certainly able to surpass the illusory magical feats of the yakshas, which for the time being disturbed his mind. So this is very, very important. Sometimes just because of our immaturity in Krishna consciousness, we are disturbed by people and situations. Dhira tatrana muhyati. A dhira doesn't get disturbed. Actually, one of the things it keeps coming to my mind every time. There are situations, there are, people. I mean, even devotees sometimes create disturbance. Mm. And I realize saying that, two things. One is that devotee is also disturbed because of his immaturity and he's creating disturbance. Uh, I am also getting disturbed because of my immaturity. Mm. And the whole idea is to not get disturbed, not be disturbed. If at all there is any reason to be disturbed, it is because of our lack of sincerity, seriousness in bhakti. We can be disturbed. That to not disturb to such an extent that we get discouraged. We can get disturbed such that it can wake us up a little bit. But otherwise, any other reason, there's no cause, there's no real reason for a devotee to get disturbed. Mm. So we have to remember in our own practice of Krishna consciousness that any occasion that is creating disturbance in the mind is an opportunity for me to overcome that weakness of mind. I'm repeating this. Any situation that causes disturbance of our mind is an opportunity for us to overcome our hridaya dorpalyam, our weakness of heart. It's just because of our weakness of our heart that we are disturbed. Because mostly these will be some kind of material situations. So even interaction between two devotees, which might cause distress to one person, is material, because otherwise there is no, on the spiritual platform, there is no shochati na kankshati. There is no lamentation, no hankering. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna manina manadena kirtanya sadahari. It's always just tolerance, of all kinds of material disturbances. One has to simply tolerate. So we have to just remember, when we are disturbed, we should first recognize that I have hriday daurbalyam, I have weakness of heart, I am an immature devotee. But what we do, we end up behaving just like other karmis. We point our fingers towards the other people who mostly will be devotees and say he did like this, they did like this, that, and all that. Just weakness of heart, simply weakness of heart. Mm. So this has to be also our constant endeavor. Mm. That is why we have to come to this Brahma Bhuta. And I realize that it's a long journey. Coming to Brahma Bhuta is a long journey, because no sochati na kankshati. No anchoring, no lamentation. No hankering, no lamentation. So we have to remember, when we are hankering, if you are hankering for something material, no, that's not good. If you are lamenting about something, that's not good. And what should we do when such hankering and lamentation, when we are experiencing hankering and lamentation, what should we do? Anybody wants to suggest? What should we
Loudly,
do? when we are having hankering and lamentation.
Loudly chant Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Shashank.
Uh, it's an opportunity to depend on Krishna Prabhu.
Okay, very
Whenever
nice. Okay.
we got an opportunity. Yeah,
Okay.
the Krishna Prabhu.
What else?
Also, we should realize that we are not in Brahma Bhuta stage then.
Mm. We should realize we are not in Brahmabhuta and we should drop it.
Hmm.
We should try to drop it. I mean, half of our problem is because we want to hold on to these things. This we don't realize. We don't realize that we are struggling to make progress because we are holding on to things, anarthas, which are not required for us. Is this, are we able to appreciate this point? That we are not able to give up or make progress because we are holding on to things ourselves. And then in the name of conditioning, this, that, 150 reasons we will give to say that I'm stuck, Prabhu, I'm not able to move. But simple reason is that I don't want to move. Because I don't want to move, I'm not moving. That also requires determination. Or at least to begin with, at least we should have that gnana, knowledge saying that, oh, no, no, no. I want to reach Brahmabhuta at least. I don't want to be disturbed in my mind. Okay, this seems like something which is a cause of disturbance, but let me try to drop it. And how do we drop it? We can't simply drop it. We have to depend on Krishna. We have to depend on Krishna and then drop it. Then Krishna, I'm leaving this to you. And then that's it. Rakshishititi Vishwaso. Okay, I have faith that you're going to take care. And then drop. I've seen devotees getting too much worried about their material problems. Too much. I used to be in this platform. Even though sometimes mm, gets affected. But when such things happen, suddenly I remember, no, 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 this is not good. That means that I don't have surrender. I'm not surrendered fully. I don't depend on Krishna. I don't have faith in Krishna. Why not? That is one of the characteristics of Haranagati, Rakshishati iti Vishwasa. No, no, I have faith. I have faith that Krishna is there. Krishna will do whatever is required. And then drop it. And then we have to drop it. This dropping is our big problem. We have to remember. Drop the baggage. We should drop the baggage that we are carrying. We are carrying a heavy baggage. Mm. We want to just hold on to it. I remember some devotee had given one very nice example of how we hold on to baggage. He said, like, maybe just 2 minutes, I'll describe that. He said there are two villages. One side of the one in one village, there used to be people who used to be always, they used to carry a heavy load on their back. They used to carry a heavy load on their back. Um, and then they used to be always worried about carrying this load, and wherever they're going, they have to manage, they have to carry this load, etc., etc. Very, disturbed people. And then people on the other side, they were not carrying any load. They were just, walking themselves, happy, enjoying life. So one person from this village goes to the other village. The happy village goes to the village where people are carrying so much of load on their backs. And then he tells, then all those people ask him, saying that, oh, you look so happy. Mm. Also, you don't have anything on your back. Yeah, they said, yeah, in our village, we don't carry anything on our back. We're just free. We are happy. Then that villager was like, oh, you're so lucky. And then this villager says, no, it's very easy. You just leave, drop the bag from your back. You will also become free like me. And the villager says, no, 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 no. In our village, we can't drop this baggage. No, then we'll be thrown out of the village. Then that villager asks, okay, if you're thrown out, what is the point? Anyway, you're not happy here. You come with us, stay with us in our village. Then that person goes on giving so many reasons to say why he should not drop his bag, but he doesn't think about saying that, okay, it will be nice. It'll be the best thing for me if I can just drop this baggage, go on to the other side, and live a happy life. So we are like that actually. All of us, we just simply want to carry the baggage. We somehow feel happy carrying that baggage. It's a little bit of craziness in all of us that we don't want to drop it. Mm. So we should be willing to drop these things because they're not useful for us. They're not good for us. That is why they're called anarthas. Artha means useful. Anartha means not useful, useless. Mm. So this is very, very important. So we have to have faith in Krishna and we have to just drop our anarthas. We should desire to move forward. We should not hold on to this baggage and remain where we are for, And of course, in all this, unless we have faith in Krishna, we cannot do all this. We cannot do all this, right? And we have to have faith. Somehow, Krishna is always there with us. He's always there. He's always there to encourage us. Because very few people in Lord's creation are wanting to go back. Of course, there are all those fortunate souls who are already in the spiritual world, but amongst those in the material world, there are very few who are actually wanting to go back and who are sincerely trying. And Krishna gives full support. Krishna gives full support. But we have to just remember, I have to fully depend on Krishna and not get disturbed by temporary material situations which might create some anxiety, disturbance for us. We should try not to get disturbed. Should try not to get disturbed. And like I said, every opportunity is just training ground for us. Krishna is giving the facility to, okay, now try. See if you can follow this instruction. And we say, no, Krishna, I'm not able to. Okay, no problem. Try again. I'm there with you. It's like how children learn bicycle, right? Parents are standing, holding. Then children are seeing, turning back and looking at the parents, saying that, are you holding? You're holding right. Father is saying, yes, 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 absolutely, I'm holding. Don't worry at all. You just see forwards, look forward and just ride. And then as the child gets confidence in the father, then he doesn't stops looking, turning back. Then he starts only looking at front. And then father has actually left his hand and the child learns to bicycle, learns to, ride the cycle. So it's just like that. We have to initially we don't have so much faith, so we keep looking back. Krishna, are you there? Krishna, are you there? Krishna, are you there? Then you say, Krishna is saying, no, no, I'm there, Baba. Why you are worried? You look forward and move forward. Then slowly after some years of this looking back, then we say, oh yeah, 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 Krishna is there. Why am I looking back? Let me just see forward and move. Then we don't get disturbed by anything. You say it's okay. It's just anyway connected to the body. Krishna is willing that this problem happen in my life, so it's happening. It's fine. Okay, so I'll stop here. Anybody has any comments? Yeah, yeah, Prabhupada.
Yeah, just wanted to share one realization, Pro, that
Yeah.
Dhruva Maharaj, he
Mm-hmm.
faced so much trouble even after darshan of the Lord, which is very,
Mm.
very
Okay.
inspiring. And I mean, we devotees, we sometimes think that we are getting so much trouble in our
Mm.
lives.
Mm.
But actually, we can see that even after the darshan of the Lord, and also we
Mm.
see Pandavas where Lord was himself staying with them, they had so
Mm.
many troubles. So
Mm.
basically, troubles. I mean, it doesn't mean that if a devotee becomes pure devotee, then troubles will stop coming.
Mm.
The troubles will be there, and it is the attitude of the devotee which matters actually. So that is a
Yeah.
very big realization I have.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, and it's not necessary that pure devotee has to suffer. It's just Lord's will. If he wills, if he wants somebody, he wants to create a big example for others, he wants to glorify the devotee, various reasons Lord can, yeah, these situations might happen in a devotee's life. But yeah, in all situations, the difference is only the pure devotee is completely he's not on the bodily platform at all, first of all, and then he has full faith in Krishna's actions. He knows that Krishna is doing everything for it is his will, his desire, so it is good for me. That's all. Simple. Close. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat
Hare
Pranam.
Krishna, Pranam.
Like as you stated, the anxiety is usually material, very much material. And Gaur Gopal Prabhu gives a very nice example, like how you told us this story. He says, hold on to a glass full of water. He says, just pick up a glass of water. And we pick up it. He says, does it pain? He says, no. He says, hold it for 2 minutes. He says, is it paining? Bola slightly. He says, okay, hold it on for 15 minutes. And then, is it paining? Yes. Okay, hold it out for an hour. And you said, then you just drop. Like ultimately. So even we carry the burden, like, he says your little hand cannot hold a glass of water for 1 hour. He says, how much of burden do you carry? So you have to learn to drop your anxiety and burden and depend on the Lord.
Okay.
I don't know if it was relevant here.
Yeah, yeah.
We
Thank
just
you.
came.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody? Okay. We'll close here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta Kripa Sindhu Tirupati Dana Bhavani Ananda Koti Vaishnavanda ki jai. Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.